Oh gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan, and joining us this week on Talking Business is the Group CEO of Expolanka Holdings, Hanif Yusoof. Welcome to the show, Hanif. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Hanif, let's talk challenges. In your opinion, what has been the biggest challenge faced by the logistics sector this past year or so?
Oh, the challenges, for the past year or so has been so disruptive. I mean, this pandemic, usually as a logistics, which is a very important chain in any economy, it's a strong pillar for an economy. That this time, we have been so long in this business. Disruptions happen country by country. This is a global pandemic that we were facing. So the disruptions really came in from April or so of last year. But the question here was that, it was multiple effects of disruptions. In the logistics game, we need the air freight space, which we depend on the belly capacity of aircrafts. We had ships that were moving around but had problems at ports because of labor shortages. We had factories that were shut down. So it was a total disruption, one of the most challenging periods we ever went through, at least in my history.
What regulations, if any, have been brought in to ensure the health and safety of those working on the ground in the logistics sector?
Actually, more than regulation, we had to self-regulate. Because the question was that, there were a lot of regulations coming on the way. I mean, the quarantine and social distancing can only do so much. So when we had this whole disruption and everybody, safety of the employees was paramount importance. So we created a bubble even before the bubble was, we didn't call it a bubble, we just call it different segments working at different timings. But we took all the precautions we could issue. We had regular PCR checkups for the people. We had them working at a location for 14 days at a stretch. When they came out, we had another PCR checkup for them situations. Because that was the paramount importance. But we are located in many countries. Each country adopted the systems that were best for that country. The reason I'm saying that is because just apart from having just all these systems in, there were lockdowns that were coming suddenly at locations and areas. There were transportation problems because you need curfew passes and permits to move around. So it was quite a juggle to handle this whole thing. But I must say that we did it, and we are still facing it, not that it has gone away.
Crisis management has been a priority these last 12 months, especially in the context of cash flow management and HR. So in your opinion, what lessons have corporates learned from this?
The lesson, I know that I learned a lesson. I learned a system. And the system was learned not during a pandemic. A few years ago, we had this treasury based in one location at a head office in Sri Lanka. So really, that really helped us with cash flow situation because we had access to all our businesses in a pool system. This was one of our strong points. Each countries of my 23 countries all went through cash flow problems. That was common because customers wanted extended period of credit. Customers were not available at the factory places or other places to pay your bills on time. But the question was to move. Logistics is about moving the freight, moving information. So being having a treasury really worked around. It also improved us, gave us an outlook as to who we should do business with. The mantra that we bought it before the pandemic, less is more. Should we put always, since I started companies, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But in this system, I always told them, let's put more eggs in one basket. Because customers will pay us, we were able to move, and that helped us in the situation. Coming back to HR, this was a real opening, working from home situations. We struggled a bit with it, people were not used to it. As I speak today, I can tell you that it brought out something which it did not identify, and that was efficiencies. We found that when everybody was working from office structures, work was divided. As always, we've been told that you've got to divide your work, teamwork, or all. Here, this gave a lot of load to one person because he had to complete the job by being at home. But that also brought maximum efficiencies out.
With import bans still somewhat in place, the sourcing of alternative materials should be high. Do you see this happening?
Yeah, the import ban took place. You see, normally supply chains don't get dramatically be changed overnight. It takes time to change any current situation of logistics or supply chain. People need the goods, people have ordered the goods, people have got production in place. However, due to the situation and we don't create national policies, we adopt national policies or we follow national policies in the best way we can. So the import ban did come in, and as far as the logistics is concerned, I can only talk about logistics part of it, is that we found all the imports going down with issues, but we also have a lot of imports in our logistics business which is for manufacturing of goods. So they were permitted to come in on whatever terms the factories could order. But with the ban, what has also been created is that local productions which we never thought we could do. I'm not talking about only the batik or the matty business, I'm talking about the general other things people have looked at. And I certainly feel that it will take a little time, but I think we'll come out of this.
On that note, yes, we can come out of it. But personally, do you think Sri Lanka has what it takes to truly become a force to be reckoned with in terms of the supply of our products?
No, that's challenging because you're dealing with markets which are already established those particular products. I don't think we should go into that particular issue. We should do products for local consumption from the import ban, but I come to that data, that's where the export focus is on. We must do what we are good at. We must do what we have been practiced with. I mean, tomorrow we have been manufacturing apples for all these times, and suddenly we can't go into something like a tech situation and go into another division because of the import ban. We have to do the imports. It will come in. I think over time it will come in, and yes, it will come in. Trade is both ways.
Hanif, you also have a stake in the tourism sector. So what is the word on the street when it comes to how this sector can recover?
Yeah, my tourism sector is more corporate travel. I mean, Classic Travels is one of our companies in the system. It will be corporate travel. We also been doing inbound situations. But I can tell you, as a person in business, as an entrepreneur for many years, this whole tourism thing has been devastating for not only us, every other company a country which depends on tourism. So people do ask the questions, how are you going to come up? Will the people come back? Not to worry, the tourism will come back. I can tell you that in my view it will take some time. It has to take some time because the health guidelines are also of paramount importance. Just because Maldives have got so many businesses in, Maldives is an island. They're going to island and come out of the island. We are an island with so many facets. And our strongest point is our human relationship, is our people. So when we have a bubble and we are restricted only to go from one place to another place, it works for the moment. But to get back to what we were, our uniqueness was our people, friendliness, our different sites, that would take some time. And I think we should also take that into account that it will be another 2 years journey because the flights have to start. The passenger flights have to start operating to get this going. We have charters coming that can work only to a certain extent. But when the global situation hopefully settles in and comes up, people will travel. But I think it's a 24 months horizon, as I see. We'll get tourism tomorrow or day after, but the real fact will be over 24 months.
Now let's talk about the COVID-19 vaccine. How important is the vaccination process in order to get this sector back on track?
The vaccination programs are most important from all sectors. Hospitality to logistics and situations, and we actually the vaccination came up faster than I thought it would come in, and that's a blessing. So people will say a lot of things with how long vaccine will be effective and all that, but I think that when the world gets vaccinated and after a period of time, it will bring easiness to our minds. Doing business is about like easing our business, easing our minds.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break. Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with the Group CEO of Expolanka Holdings, Hanif Yusoof. Hanif, continuing our conversation on the COVID-19 vaccine, would vaccine passports become a necessity to travel?
So I did see the vaccine about EU doing it for travel within the EU. I think that's that, and for example, Dubai been talking about vaccine passports for Emirates have been doing that. But the good thing is the IATA, which controls all the airlines or the association of airlines, have been talking about a vaccine passport, and it can be on an app, and that would ease travel, because at the moment going to countries, quarantine, coming back, quarantine, PCR test, all that situations are burdens on an average liberal thinking person to get about doing his business or getting about doing his tourist sites. So vaccine passport, I think, is of most important issue, and I hope we reach there soonest.
In your view, how would Sri Lanka leverage on its geopolitical significance?
Geopolitical has a significance and has its downside also to it, but let's take the positive side of it. We are in excellent locations. We all know that. We have been surrounded with geopolitical situation. Will continue to put pressures on us in various forms. But leave that aside. What should we do? You know, I've always think from Sinbad the sailor to Marco Polo to Ibn Battuta, this has been a trading post. This has to be a trading post. And we have to look little outward on that situation. So we need a robust maritime policy. We need a robust aviation policy. You know, if we want to be like the countries that we always talk about, the Dubais and Singapore, I think we should work on a very, very robust policies to make this place to be a real hub. And we have been talking quite a bit for it. I only want, as usual, a speed on these matters, because things are developing so fast in our neighboring countries.
So what you're saying is more actions and less words.
Always, more to get things off the ground, get it done. You know, for example, ease of doing business. That's one of the challenges we do have. We need to improve the index. I know we are making efforts. The pandemic came as a surprise to the country, to its people, to the government, and to its present rulers. So it was a shock. Our speed of development has taken a great back seat, but the speed of thinking and implementing digitalization and stuff like that, having policies can be done even during a pandemic.
Let's move on to the export sector. Can you give us an overview of how it is faring at this point of time?
You know, I suddenly, during the time that I started my business, it was Mr. Radit Atulat Mudali was the Minister of Trade, and it was the mantra that time was export or perish. And everybody wanted to export. A lot of things were exported at that time. The fruits and vegetable business came in, the fish business came in, the foliage business came in, etc. From this country for exports. Then the garments, of course, was a major part of it. I find that enthusiasm, that drive coming back again. And that's why I see a lot of large corporates investing in agriculture, exports, trying to see another way of this. So export, I think, is a priority. It's been said all the time. And I said, that doesn't need much changing. It all needs to find markets for the products that we produce. And for example, we are a resilient community, because even as people, we did PPE shipments here when the pandemic came in. So I think export business is a priority.
With the advent of the pandemic, the need for new products and services is always growing. But do you think we are doing enough to grab these opportunities?
The opportunities, no, I think the opportunities come to us. And we need to seek out a little more. For example, for technology, the tech businesses which we would have done many years ago, we could do because of the ethnic war that we had from 83 onwards, because all the ethnic business, all the tech businesses scheduled to come here, the Siemens and many other companies are going to come here, went to Penang. So I think at the moment we need to rush there and grab the opportunity of making issues. But I must tell you one thing. I'm very pleased to see that the talk about the pharmaceutical free zones that are coming up, and that's an opportunity that it's something that they're working on. Like that, perhaps you can have a technology. We are talking about technology part on IT side of it, but even for assembly, if something like that can be looked into it, I think that's a lot of scope, and I think we can progress from here.
Do you think we're doing enough to achieve the right workforce for the future of Sri Lanka?
Honestly, I don't think so. Why I say that is because I don't think not only the country, even the parents don't think so. Today with artificial intelligence, the job that we have now will not be there anymore. If you are doing a mundane job, that can be replaced with robotics, can be replaced with artificial intelligence, which is coming at a fast speed. I see that in my own organizations, that people are doing data, certain things, it will be automated. Efficiencies have to come in. Good thing about the pandemic is that it's bringing efficiencies in. So whether we are going that speed, no, I think we really have to train workforce to do to do something else. For example, cyber security. That's the main game. Artificial intelligence is the main game. So people, the country and its people and its young generation and its and the parents of the young generation must know exactly what the jobs are going to be outside in the future, and take a careful evaluation and change our course to that particular process.
Our final question for this evening, Hanif. How do you see the rest of the year panning out for the country's economy?
So our biggest situation that we are at the moment is our foreign reserves, which is dwindling. So the question is that how do we reactivate and get that going? I'm only banking my hopes on a resilience of the community, of the people and its business and its regimes, that we would come out of it, because we have gone through such periods during a 30-year war. But what worked that time might not work now if we don't take the right steps. So we have to take our minds and our work towards that.
And that's all the time we have for this segment. Thank you for joining us this evening, Hanif.
Yeah, my pleasure too. Thank you so much for the invite.
Coming up, we have the latest from Life on Earth. Stay tuned.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate. Protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back to the show, and here's a look at Life on Earth. The 5th edition of the Global Digital Civility Index, published by Microsoft, improved to 67% last year, following its lowest point in 2019. This recovery is attributed to a feeling of solidarity among people in some regions due to the pandemic, as well as responsible interactions by teenagers. The report gauges teens and adults' perceptions of online life and their exposure to more than 20 different online risks across 4 categories: reputational, behavioral, sexual, and personal or intrusive. According to the report, the lower the index score on a scale of 0 to 100, the lower respondents' risk exposure and the higher the perceived level of online civility among people in that country. The index's year-on-year trend by age group indicates that teenagers were responsible for the noticeable improvement in online civility, with the DCI for the group falling from 66% in 2019 to 63%. Furthermore, teenagers were also recorded favorable scores across all risk categories. While the state of online civility was rated less negatively in 2020, risks that spread hate and division continued to grow, and nearly 4 in 10 respondents were involved in a bullying incident. By the end of the 2020s, however, social media companies are expected to make the largest contribution to improving online civility, according to 52% of respondents, followed by the news media at 42%, educational institutions at 41%, the government at 40%, and technology companies at 35%. When it comes to the top nations in the index, the Netherlands achieved the most favorable DCI of 51% among the 32 countries studied, followed by the UK with 55%, the US with 56%, Singapore with 59%, and Taiwan with 61%. Of the adults polled, 31% rate the overall state of online civility in their country as good, while 36% of teen respondents share the same opinion. Meanwhile, 49% of those consulted expect their ability to protect their personal information and privacy online to improve in the 2020s, while the same amount anticipates improvement in the ability to protect and defend their reputation online during the decade. When it comes to overall online civility over the coming decade, 40% of respondents expect to witness an improvement. However, 38% of those surveyed have suffered, witnessed, or been involved in a bullying incident, while 68% say they felt social pressure to instigate or contribute to online bullying or harassment in the past. And finally, 54% of respondents did not report bullying due to fear that their attackers would not be punished. And that's all we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.